Welcome back to our series on Angular for beginners. Today we're going to learn about one of the core features of Angular, creating and combining components. Components are the building blocks of Angular applications, and understanding how to create them is crucial to your progress. All right, let's get started. So open up your VS Code, open a terminal by going terminal, new terminal. We're going to generate a new project for this. So ng new project name, let's just call it component tutorial. After a few minutes, Angular CLI will finish creating the component-tutorial project. Type ls to see the new generated folder, cd into that. Type ls again to see this pre-generated boilerplate code, and type code dot to open the newly generated project. We'll need to start a new terminal and type ng serve. Now we see that Angular Live Development Server is running on localhost 4200. If we go over to Google Chrome and type localhost 4200, you'll see the pre-generated Angular boilerplate app component displayed on the home page. So let's go ahead and remove that code, go into app component.html, delete it, and let's just add a div that says hello world. Go back, you can see hello world is on the screen. What we have here in a newly generated Angular app and in other apps that you might encounter out in the wild is the app component.ts. So this is what we kind of refer to as the app root. It is the singular component that displays all other components. Typically what you do is you'll add other components to this app component. For this project, we did not add Angular routing, but normally you'll have something like this, router-outlet. We're not going to be doing that for today. Instead, what we're going to be doing is generating two different components and displaying them within the same app root, but we will be creating separate components, declaring the components within the modules for those components, importing the modules into this app root, and then displaying them here on the page. So for now, let's generate a new component. Press Ctrl+C to cancel the running live development server, and we will do ng generate module this time instead of component, and we'll call it component1. Again, notice the now existing component1 folder here that contains component1.module.ts. At this point, if we generate any new component called component1, it will automatically get added to the existing folder. Angular CLI is smart enough to add components automatically to the module. Go ahead and type ng generate component1. You'll see component files are added and the module was automatically updated with this declaration. What we're doing here is we're saying that this module declares that this component is part of this module. Now, in order to use a component from within a module that's already imported by another module, any components within that module need to be exported. So in that case, we need to add the exports property to this, what we call an ng module decorator, and that decorator is essentially a function that takes an object, and that object contains properties, various what we call metadata, and one of those properties is exports, which is an array. So let's go ahead and give this a try. Angular CLI will automatically populate the new component in the component template with a component name and works. So here we have component1 works. So if we go back to the app component.html, keep in mind we had already imported the component1 module into app module. Now we can use anything that's exported by the component1 module inside of the app component. So go ahead and look at the selector or update the selector name to whatever you want. By default, it's app-the component name. If we go ahead and add the selector tag to app component and save it, go back down and restart the server, ng serve, give it a second to rebuild and display, go back to localhost and refresh. You'll see now component1 works. Okay, we now have component1 exported from the component1 module, and we have the app module importing the component1 module, and since the component1 module exports component1 component, it is usable within the app component. The app module makes components available for use within the app component itself. Okay, let's add a second one. Let's generate a new component here. Again, let's go ahead first and generate the module, and we'll just call it component2. So type ng generate module component2. you'll see that component 2 now is available with a module. So when you generate modules, new modules aren't automatically added to the next available module in the parent folder, which is nice because we don't have, every time we generate a new module, we don't have to go in and remove it if we did not want to import it into a parent module. But what we can do now is generate component 2, ng generate component 2. And just like component 1, we see that component 2 now has all of the initial boilerplate code and empty component class. However, it did automatically add the declaration of the component to the component 2 module. And just to reiterate, since we had generated the component 2 module first, any components added to the component 2 folder will get automatically declared in any existing modules in that folder. And just to demonstrate that, if we cd into the component 2 folder, type ls, and if we run the following command, ng generate component test component, and use the flag -- flat, which means it won't automatically create a folder. It will simply generate the component and put it in the current folder. And in this case, we're in the folder component 2. Type enter. You'll see another component is added to the same folder, and Angular CLI looked for the existence of a module in that folder, and it automatically declared test component. And because we called it test component and Angular CLI automatically appends component to the end, we have test component. So we don't really need that component for now. Let's go ahead and remove those files. You can do that right from VS Code by selecting the items, right-clicking, and typing delete, move to trash. Make sure you remove the import from the module and from the declaration since it no longer exists. Save that. Now we have component 1 and component 2. Don't forget to export the component 2 component from the component 2 module. Go back to app module, and just like component 1 module, and import component 2 module into the app module. Save that and go back to app component.html and add the app component 2 selector tag. Save that. Run ng-serve again, go back to the browser and refresh. Now we can see we have component 1 and component 2 works. Okay, thanks for watching this video, and we will catch you next time.